Hello everyone, I'm Eric Wheatley and I'm here to interview a very special guest, Karina Lamar Laranjera. And Karina Lamar Laranjera has written a wonderful book called The Tree of Life, What Earth Depends On. This book is all about an eco-friendly way in which we are trying to reach a new paradigm in green burial. If you'd like to get this book, you can find it at Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Karina, thank you so much for taking the time to give us an opportunity to know a little bit more about you, your family, and about the new foundation, The Tree Life. I'm going to start with a couple of questions. How does your family history impact you today?
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, Eric, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm so honored that you invited me to talk about the Tree of Life, the foundation. So my family, that's why I'm here actually. So we go back, a long, long time ago, and they're coming from Jerusalem. They immigrated to Portugal, and when they immigrated to Portugal, they were set into different farms, and so that's why my last name Laranjera, which means orange tree, and they were placed in different types of farms, fruit farms, like orange trees, lemon trees, all kinds of things. So the Laranjeiras for oranges, the Limetas for limes, and so forth. So anyways, they were slaves put in those lands to work, have to change their names. They had to change their religion. They couldn't do their rituals because they were running away for life, right? And so my great-grandfather was in charge of that farm in particular in Algarve in Portugal. They were there for about 100 years or more. And people were passing, and there was no way they could perform their own ritual. So Grandpa at that time said, you know what, we are going to have a memory. And what he did was, still with clothes on, because they didn't have this particular idea of sustainability, decompose or anything like that. So they're planting trees on top of the body. So they made the hole on the ground. So then the masters or the lords wouldn't see that. And so the body used to go underground under a tree. And that tree was specifically honored to that particular person. And so they would remember. That's how everything started.
Wonderful. That's very interesting. Interesting, very much. So, the next question, we'll move on. How has nutrition and healthy living influenced you in other areas of your life?
Oh, absolutely. I am a nutritionist. I have a bachelor's in nutrition. When I came to the United States from England, my dream was to help people to teach people how to be healthier. Because the whole, in Europe, all the ideas that we have is that food is here as mass. People produce food here in huge amounts. The meat is full of hormones, and so I was always concerned about the way Americans were eating. That was my dream to come, and eventually it happened. I became I couldn't be. How do I say this? I had to go back to school to get my degree in nutrition here, because you're not considered a nutritionist if you have degrees from another school or something. But I created my own company, and I was treating terminal patients, people with cancer, stomach cancers, and it was working, right? But then I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, this life, it's horrible. It's how can we do this? And I started feeling really down, and it took a lot out of me. But I felt like I helped a lot of people. And so anyways, as a chef, I'm a chef nutritionist. I also became a teacher. I thought, I want to teach people about nutrition, because I can't fight with the American nutritional pyramid. I can't. This is, even though it was dated 1992, 1998, it was acquired from another country in Europe. And so they changed a few things based in commercial, agriculture commercialized. How can we sell more of these packed things like canned stuff, potatoes, instead of eating the actual potato from the ground, from the roots, I'm eating now potato chips in the package. So that affects a lot of people. And as we can see now, American society, the American community population, it's really suffering finally waking up to a better way of living nutritionally, right? But I started with that nutrition pyramid. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do? I was really down. I said, I can't fight with this. I can't work in a hospital. Number one, I would not like to work in a hospital as a nutritionist because I do not agree with how things are set, different from what I've learned. In Brazil, I was born in Brazil, and we eat very whole foods because it's cheaper. It's expensive to go to McDonald's. It's expensive to get a can of meat, right? So anyways, long story short, I said, I'm just going to do my own thing and teach. I rather teach younger people how to be more sustainable, teach nutrition in school. I became a California got my teaching credentials in California, and still teaching culinary arts, nutrition, food sustainability. And now we're going to talk about that.
Karina, what has being a mother taught you?
Oh, amazing things. I love to be a mother. And so the Foundation Tree of Life, it's a very wonderful way of teaching the young people, especially children, that we have an option for the future generations. We have to start doing the right thing. More sustainable, and in special the funeral industry, that it's so old, right? It's the only thing we knew it. So now it's time to change. It's time to teach our young ones. So being a mother, I look at my son and I'll go, wow, I want him to experiment things that I experiment in when I was younger, and things were different, greener. I remember that. So that's my inspiration. My son is definitely my inspiration.
Would you consider maybe that this foundation will take hold within him and
absolutely
continue with the legacy?
Absolutely, yeah. We've been talking about this from the day one, and he appreciates, and he always says we are very spiritual, and so he always say, oh, somebody passed like my father a while ago, and it's like, well, Grandpa, it's becoming a tree now. And we actually did a ceremony for my dad, my father, in Tahoe Forest. So now we have orange tree planted on his name there.
What's your mission and what drives you?
Well, my mission is really, really to educate people that we have choices. This is not just like, I always try to compare Yellow Cab and Uber. I know it's a little interesting and funny, but it's true. Like, we have to give up the old. And I have all the respect for all the religions in the world. I'm a Buddhist myself, and I'm very spiritual because I'm very connected to earth and the soil, right? But, we have to stop. We have to learn how to detach. You should detach from everything and be connected to everything. There is a thing right there. Detach from everything and be connected to everything. So, which means you're here, you're using all these perks and all the beauty in the planet. Before you leave, you must give back. Your body belongs to earth, and you should give it back as a fertilizer, as a food to the soil. People are very with the idea of the funeral that if you don't get embalmed, you're going to hurt the soil, which is the opposite. There's the body in the coffin. So there we go. We're cutting a lot of trees to make a coffin full of stuff, materials that it doesn't decompose. And then the body all embalmed, full of makeup and beautiful so everybody can see it. That's not right. But that's all you knew it. That's all what we knew it.
Can you give me a short background about Tree of Life?
So the Foundation Tree of Life, so what we do, we are a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, and we are helping families, low-income families or anyone who passed suddenly, especially children or babies or unborns, still babies, to have a decent and beautiful, eco-friendly, sustainable, biodegradable, everything in earth, outside. And that's what we're doing. We're helping them and also educating young children, because I think everything starts from the beginning. We can't just expect to go. Now, as an adult, we're trying to revert, right, that what we have learned in the past, which was wrong. I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, it was wrong. But I'm saying as we had to go through this path, so now we learn the right way. And the right way will always, always be earth, because we are here on this planet. The right way to do things is always to give back to earth.
Aside from dirt, what is exactly in our soil?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things in there. There's the whole kingdom of the fungi. And we are still here on this planet, let me tell you. We're nobody. We're just humans walking through here. And so there's a kingdom of fungi made of mycelium. There's a web underground that, on top of everything else nutritionally, we can talk about minerals, we can talk about everything that makes our soil rich to give us food. We can create anything. We can create pills, we can create packages of things and canned foods, but man-made food, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to stay healthy, if you want to stay in this planet for as long as you wish, you must learn things that comes from the soil, right? So mycelium is I call the king, right? There's a kingdom down there that communicates between all kinds of different trees. The little trees communicate with the older trees. The older trees help the younger ones to grow. So there's a whole world down there.
What do most people know about embalming? Or don't know?
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure a lot of people know about embalming, but they never even questioned. I'll give you one example I think is an absurd. An absurd is when you have to pay while you're still alive an insurance. So then when you pass this life, you go into a box that doesn't do anything to any of us. The only thing that does is very, very profitable to the funeral industry. That's all. And also hurt our soil. So the embalming part is that it's full of chemicals. And those chemicals, I'm going to talk very simple, so I'm not going to give you any names or chemicals. But what happens is that the embalming process, there's a chemical reaction that makes your body intact, which means your family's coming to the funeral, to the ceremony, whatever it is, because they want to see one more time. My question is, why would you like to see your loved one in a box? Isn't it better to have a memory of your loved one or your mother, your father, your kids, whoever it was, smiling in a different worlds instead, And so the embalming part is very it hurts the soil. So it takes a long, long time. One thing real quick about that, talking about the climate change, talking about pollution, the water, the oceans, the rivers, the lakes, they move, right? Because the water moves, the air moves, the sun moves around, the soil doesn't move. So whatever stayed down there, those people, I call them the people, they call the mycelium kingdom, they're working over time for many years. And that's why we're suffering. We're suffering with agriculture, the level quality of food that we're eating every single day, all those chemicals. Do you think somebody that's been embalmed in Italy, in the traditional funeral, because that's all we knew it, right? I'm not going to get into the Indian culture and different cultures, how we do cremation. We're going to talk about cremation, but that's the thing. That chemical travels through the water underground. And maybe you're planting something here in California, and you might getting some of those chemicals into your food.
Does religion and politics affect the burials options?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's why one of the first chapters of the book, I'm talking about religion, because you see the history that I have in my family. They had to give up everything.
And you're referring to the Tree Life book.
The Tree Life book,
I understand has been written already for me.
Yes. So I'm an author of The Tree of Life, What Earth Depends On. The Tree of Life is backed in so thousands of years ago. There's in the Bible also, you have the Tree of Life of God. And you have a right choice and you have the bad choice. You should do the right choice. And like I said, the right choice doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are. You can be a criminal. You can be, you must understand that the right thing to do is to give back to earth.
Can you explain to me about the ceremony of life ritual and what is important to loved ones of the deceased when it comes to ceremonials?
Sure. We're all humans, thank God, and we have feelings. And mourning is important. Grieving is important. Those kind of feelings are important to you as a human to grow, right? You can grow. You can't grow just being happy. You can't grow just having everything your way, right? So it's important to grieve and suffer. But the suffering can't be led for too long. You can't be suffering for too long. You have to understand the process of detachment, like I was telling you before. So the Tree of Life ceremony is exactly to bring those family members into reality. So we do chanting, we do sometimes the all day, very pagan, very earthy. It's important to understand how connected we are to the planet Earth. Usually there's something called the death doula, the end of life doula, which they're amazing people. I love them so much. It was not a profession before. It was somebody who were taking the family through the journey. But it's important to have an end of life doula. Why? Number one, because you have to prepare yourself to leave this planet. You have to. You have to. You'll be a better human. You'll be a happier human knowing that you're leaving. We're all going to go. So there's no, don't try to ignore that. People are so preoccupied on making money and living well, and of course it's important, but I'm talking about being materialistic more than spiritualistic. Understand that you're not going to be here, and then you move on with your life and you just go and be happy, but make a plan. And the end of life doulas, they make a plan for you. The ceremony is also involved. The family chooses what they want, what kind of instruments, what kind of music. Do you want food? Do you want to celebrate? Everybody talks. Give their love and honor to that person, and then we plant a tree inside the pot.
How should we look at death? I mean, we did this already a little bit, and you've covered a little bit about it. But what's your personal opinion about how you perceive death?
Yeah, it's the death of the physical body. Death is a word that brings a lot of
taboo.
Yeah, anxiety, because that was a whole deal with old. How do you say? Example, the Romans, right? The Romans, one way of getting people to pay taxes was, hey, let's make them fear death. Let's make them fear. So fear is the number one factor. And so death sounds like fear, right? Like, oh, death, something died. Yeah. Death is just a word, and the death of some life cycle to the new one. So the whole idea is to get your body, dispose your body that is already dead, right? Death, and it turns into life. And how you do this, you become a food for a tree. It's a beautiful concept, but the whole idea really in the backstage is to plant more trees.
Karina, we have one more question, and thank you so much for being patient to give us all this wonderful information that maybe they didn't know anything about. What are the best ways for anyone to learn more about Tree of Life and Beyond Life services?
The best way is to go online, foundationtreeoflife.org, and all the social medias. We are on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So find us there as a Tree of Life. Yes, I am the author of The Tree of Life, What Earth Depends On, and you can find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Also, Karina-author.com. You can find the book there, ebook, Kindle also.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us the time to learn more about this beautiful foundation of Tree Life.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.